Well, it's time to do 55 minutes of business. That's what we do on Business Incorporated. Today will not be different. Here's what we have prepared for you. Good news or not, petrol imports in Nigeria declines for the first time in a very long time. And in Ethiopia, there's a new forex policy, and it's to cap the spread at 2%. 20 years after, white farmers are set to get compensation in Zimbabwe. I'm Ini John Mekwa. This is Business Incorporated. We start from the global space as usual. Begin in the metal space. Gold advanced towards record highs as gains in non-yielding bullion were bolstered by weaknesses in U.S. bond yields and also expected rate cuts by major central banks, with additional safe haven support from ongoing geopolitical conflicts. So keep our eyes on the numbers at this time. We see spot gold is in the greens, still hovering around the 2,600 level, 2,600, 676, 2,676 right there, and 3 cents. That's what we have for the price. And U.S. gold is also up 2,000, still around the same range, $2,692.60 after it gained 0.5%. If we could look at other metals at this time, apart from these two, we would see that spot silver firmed at 1% at $31.77. Palladium or platinum also went up 1.3% to $996.55, while palladium also went up 1% to $1,019. And delegates to the London Bullion Market Association's annual gathering, they are predicting that gold prices would rise to 2,941. We still have it around 2,600 at this time, but that will happen in the next 12 months. And also they think that silver prices will jump to $45 per ounce. Now, in the oil space, prices edge higher on Thursday from 2-week lows, with investors eyeing developments in the Middle East and more details on China's stimulus plans. Details of that are coming out even as we speak, as well as they're looking at the U.S. oil inventory data expected later on today. So we look at the numbers, and Brent is up 0.2%. $74.39 a barrel. WTI also up 0.3% at $70.58 a barrel. Of course, a bit of calmness in that sphere for some days now. I wonder how long that will last, as retaliatory attacks have still been expected between Iran and Israel. And still in the oil space, the importation of premium motor spirit, that's petrol, into Nigeria significantly declined in the first 2 weeks of October as Dangote refinery increased production to meet local demand. This is according to S&P Global Commodities. They see that at sea it shows 280,400 barrels of gasoline and blend stocks were imported into the country the first week of October, while 290,567 barrels from Antwerp to Lagos. There was no additional gasoline shipment there. And according to them, they asked the S&P Global Commodity that this marks a sharp decline from the weekly average of 1.3 million. That's what would normally have been the case, or the numbers. So we see from 1.3 to this, 1.3 was recorded in August. So this is the first week of October. I wonder what will happen maybe the last 2 weeks of October, but this is what we have at this time. And they said that ship tracking, that by the week ending October 13, only one product tanker was reported to have shipped gasoline into the country, carrying 290,567, and the 2 October shipments are significantly lower than the 12 cargoes that would normally have been. That's comparing to what we had in August. The Central Bank of Nigeria and the Securities and Exchange Commission have jointly sanctioned 10 Nigerian banks for breaches related to foreign exchange operations. The banks penalized include, first Citibank, Access, Zenith, and a whole lot more. And the sanctions are part of ongoing efforts by the CBN and SEC to enforce transparency and compliance within the banking sector, especially in the management of foreign reserves and currency flows in the country and the sector. Staying in the corporate scene now, Flour Mills of Nigeria PLC, they've announced their plans to invest about $1 billion over the next 4 years to expand operations. So we see Flour Mills of Nigeria PLC to invest about $1 billion over the next 4 years. Well, the company's chairman has said this, emphasizing that the move reflects a commitment to increasing investment in the country. I guess it's interesting when we see some companies divesting and changing their operation plan and leaving the country. Flour Mills said that they are going to invest a minimum of $500 million into sugar operations in Niger State, with the goal of increasing production from the current 100,000 tons to over 400,000 tons annually. This is the plan of the company. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry has been sharing some recommendations to accelerate the gains of the economic reforms of the federal government, of course, led by the President Bola Tinubu. The President of the LCCI, Mr. Gabriel Idahosa, during a quarterly review meeting, is asking the government to prioritize and address insecurity, which he says is belittling the country, and strategically focus on increasing national agriculture productivity. These are some of the points recommended by LCCI. They asked the government to prioritize fight against insecurity, especially in agricultural productivity. They also ask for increased funding and investment in the agriculture sector. They say will boost productivity. And then for the Central Bank of Nigeria, they recommend that they incentivize banks to allocate more credit to agriculture and agro-processing, and also to make credits available to small businesses, the MSMEs. Well, these are suggestions and recommendations from the LCCI, but I mean, obviously they aren't new. There are some that have been in the airwaves even before now. The World Food Celebration Day is on. We started that yesterday. We continue today with the Commission of Agriculture in Zamfara State. Zamfara, they call themselves, they have pride in agriculture. That's what Zamfara said. They say farming is our pride. That's their slogan. So let's find out what the Commission of Agriculture in that state has been doing before now, and let's be sure if really it is their pride. We know that the government there has been busy. We've seen them in the news. They've been talking about engaging crop production, livestock and fish rearing in large numbers. We've heard of the government giving outputs to farmers and those in the agricultural space. But let's find out, Governor Lau, let's find out if it has really reached those people and what impact it has made so far. So we have the Commissioner of Agriculture, Yau Haruna Gamji, joins us. Hi, good afternoon, Commissioner. Thank you for joining the program.
Good afternoon, my sister. Like we said, my name is Haruna Yau, and Commissioner of Agriculture from Zamfara State, and also welcome to Zamfara State. And then, like you said, Zamfara State is agricultural state. That is why our motto is farming is our pride.
Yeah.
So the effort of this government to boost agricultural sector is that since 2023, which is November 2023, Zamfara State give agricultural input and asset and also livestock to the farmers, which is free of charge for dry season farming last year. Because, like I said, Zamfara State is an agricultural state, and with less irrigation scheme, which is we call it Adibacalori, that baccalaureate irrigation scheme, we have more than 23,000 hectares, which is cover only 3 local government area of our state, where we have in between macro and micro dams in Zamfara state, we have about 115 across the Zamfara state government. That is why Zamfara state government are starting giving agricultural input and assets and also livestock free of charge to boost agricultural sector entirely. Likewise, again, Zamfara state government also give fertilizer and also chemical to Zamfara state farmers for wet season farming, and also is free of charge without collecting a single kobo from the farmers. So secondly, Zamfara state government continue efforts to, again, I think next end of this month, His Excellency is also lead us to the flag up or distribution another agricultural input and assets for dry season of 2024/2025, which is free of charge across the 14 local government area. And then in terms of agriculture, not only fertilizer and chemical, and also small livestock, which is sheep and goat, and also poultry. I think we have another flag up by tomorrow. We want to give the vulnerable people, we want to give them a poultry, which is Noela's chicken. We give them at free of charge, and also feed, which was already rearing them. I think the age of the chicken is about 9 weeks. We want to give in it tomorrow by the women and also youth and also vulnerability, which is free of charge too.
All right, Commissioner. Yeah, Commissioner, I would like to know, because it does seem like the Zamfara state government gives out a whole lot, as you've just said, the one you want to do tomorrow, the one you've been doing even before now, a lot of inputs, apart from fertilizer. But how do you follow up to see the effectiveness of what you're giving, to ensure that really you're giving to the right people, and even when you give to the right people, that they're using it the way they ought to? Do we see productivity coming out of those inputs that you have given?
Of course, each and every local government or each and every political one, we have an extension workers there. That extension workers are working together with our farmers. So we selected or we collected the farmers of the data through our extension workers. Those extension workers are working under the Ministry of Agriculture. We are not collecting data from any politicians or any district there. So we use our extension workers. We are hoping our extension workers know the real farmer in that area. And also there are supervisors. Each and every local government, we have 10 supervisors, which each and every political one, we have 1 supervisor to go and supervise the people that we give them that support. Are they using, was that mission or not? I think with this result, the result that we are receiving is almost 95% people, the one that we give them this agricultural input free of charge, they are working in their own farmer. So we have good result with that.
Okay, so the issue of insecurity, I mean, we hear it all the time. We hear more affecting mining in Zamfara state, but I do know, of course, it's affecting agriculture. How are you handling that in the state?
Yeah, that is why the state government make an effort. The state government produce what you call it, community protection guards. That community protection guards, His Excellency or the state government are selecting that people from their community. And also we give them training, we give them the all necessary support required from the government. The state government are giving them to go and protect their farmers and also their community too. So that community protection guards are using during a farmers. They are going around in the community. If there is anything happening, they are going there and also attack. They give them support and also the defense of our farmers to make sure our farmers are working successfully. The state government, they don't have a Nigerian army and also police. So we have only that community protection guard, which is they are working well. They are doing their best for us to safety by God grace.
Okay. So what's the target of your production, like your produce? Where do you send it to? Is it for domestic consumption in the state? Do you take it out of the state? Are you looking at adding value for export, anything like that?
Of course, our aims to be exporting our produce from Zamfara State to abroad. If you come to Zamfara State, if you go into the airport, I think the work of airport is almost 65% on progress. And then we have 3.7 million arable land hectares. By 2022, I think our people have cultivated 1.1 million.
I think you have hit the mute button, Commissioner. I think you might have to unmute. Okay.
Arable land in Zamfara State, which is our production be increased. And also our effort is, by God's grace, we want to export our agricultural input to the abroad. Because I think the Saudi, that is why we are joining a special agro-industrial processing zone, SAPZ, phase 2 in Nigeria, which we have all done the arrangement for us to be goods agricultural transformation center and industrial hub in our state. Each and every senatorial zone, we have an agricultural transformation center, and then the main in our state capital, we prepare the 200 hectares for industrial hub, which is almost the arrangement 90 to 95% was done.
So the issue of post-harvest losses is still a major one for us here. Issue of preservation and storage facilities. What's the government doing about this?
Yeah, we are already supplying the harvester, which is an automatic harvester, which we want to give to the large farmers or farmers association across the 40 local government, which is, I think they are on their way coming, so that for avoid that loss harvesting. So we are already supplying the automatic harvester by God's grace. I think we are expecting to come on next month by God's grace.
Yeah, but after harvesting, what do they do with it? Where do they keep it? How can they store it so that it will last for long?
Of course, the state government, we have already 115 warehouse across the 40 local government area. And then we give them, sometimes we give them free of charge so that farmer can go and store his input.
You're mute, Commissioner.
Also, we have arrangement to build another I think about 10 warehouse in each and every local government area that we have in Zamfara.
All right, thank you so much. As we join the world to celebrate World Food Day from Zamfara State, they call themselves farming is their pride. The Commissioner of Agriculture for that state, Yahu Haruna Gamji, thank you so much. And we hope to get more production from your state.
Okay, so have a nice day. Thank you.
You too. All right, let's take a break now. When we come back, we'll head to the market, see what color the market is at this time. Find out what's happening to Aradel about 48 hours after listing. That's after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Watching Business Incorporated here on Channels Television. We head to the markets now, beginning with the NGX, and we see very slight recovery, very slight. In fact, too slim to celebrate. 0.01%, 98,300.63 is what we have. We'll stay right there and speak to Afalabi Binran, equity trader with Stanbic IPT Stockbrokers. I'll find out what the situation is right now. These numbers were taken about 30 minutes or so ago. So let's find out if there's been a change. Hi, Afalabi, good afternoon.
Ine, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Great. What's intraday looking at? Are we still on this level, 0.01?
No, we are not. Right now, the market is down about 5 basis points.
Oh my!
That was largely due. Yes, that was largely due to Aradel. I'm losing about 10% on the day so far. Volumes are still very, very quiet generally in the market, but the market is down 55 basis points as we speak.
It does seem like investors in Aradel who were being carried from the NESD market are taking a lot of profit. I mean, I don't know, what pattern do you see responsible for this?
That's what we're seeing, because the stock was listed at 702.9. On the first day of trading, it gained 10%. It closed at 772.9. The second day of trading, it went up 10% to about 850.1. At that point, we started seeing profit taking come in. And I mean, we're talking very significant volumes that have been trading in the market in Aradel. So since then, it's been on offer. I think everybody is basically just trying to take their profit now. When the market opened today, it went down to a limit low of 694.8. The price has just changed to 694.8, and currently we can see about 5 million shares on the offer there. So there's a lot of profit taking going on in Aradel.
But I guess it could also be an opportunity for some new investors to get on Aradel.
Yes, it is. But when we see a stock trading in this kind of pattern, I think everybody is trying to see the best points to come in. If it's on offer today, what's going to happen tomorrow? So I guess investors that are buying are basically trading cautiously. They still want to get in, but they want to get in at the right price. And that's what they're trying to determine at the moment.
Yeah, problem is who knows when it's the right price. You don't know when the slide will change, and then you start seeing a positive trend on the price.
Correct, and usually on stocks, when it usually changes quite drastically. So it's either you get in early enough or you try and get in after. But if you wait too long, you might miss the boat. And that's usually how it is when it comes to trading in stocks.
Yeah, so does this mean, can we just, safely say that the oil and gas counter is going to be in the red at the close of trade? Does it look that way?
If things stay the way they are, then yes, because Aradel is down 10%. And the other names in the sector have not necessarily moved.
Yeah, that's mostly Oando and Seplat, I believe.
Yes.
All right, what's happening to the banking? They haven't been doing so well in the last couple of trading sessions.
It's been quiet for them. There's been interest, and interestingly as well, there's been interest from foreign investors as well. But I think there's no major catalyst that's driving prices up. If you look at GTCO, for example, it's been going up over the past couple of days. There's still some profit taking as well coming into that name as well, because we haven't seen these levels since about March this year. And of course, dividends have been paid as well. So it's been very quiet in the banking names, just basically block transactions driving most of the activities. But there is still definitely interest. But largely the stocks have been very quiet in the banking names.
Can we say that sentiment, customers' experience around using the apps, has that seeped into the market in any way? It hasn't been so good.
No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't necessarily seeped into the market. And I think, I'm not sure we're going to see that seeping into the market. We've been seeing interest because, I mean, these issues are temporary issues. It's not something that would affect the long-term operations of the bank. So I think investors have basically priced that in, that the glitches that are being experienced will be resolved, and it's not necessarily something that would impact the markets.
All right. How does the market closing today? It looks like we're already in the red. We might as well stay there to the close of trade.
Yeah, unless something comes around and positive news that comes into the markets, we probably will still be around the levels that we're seeing, and we'll probably close the markets with this marginal dip that we're seeing today.
Yeah, that would be a big mover for it to change the tide. But thank you so much, Afolabi Binri, for your time and your views this afternoon.
Thank you, Annie, for having me.
All right, let's look at other markets now. I believe South Africa is next there. No, we need South Africa. That's the first one. There you have it. It's up 86,537.44. It's up 0.17%. Then we can go to Egypt now and see how the market is doing intraday. It's in the red, unfortunately, more than 1% at 30,224.64. For Nairobi, they closed yesterday deeply in the red, gone past the 110 to 111, and then now, I think yesterday they were about 110, yesterday about this time. Closed really good right there, 112.08. No wonder we have about almost 1.5% increase. Let's go to other parts of the world now. The Middle East will be next. Dubai is in the red, almost 0.5%. 4,464.85. Abu Dhabi slightly down, not too slight though, 0.14%. 9,292.21. We see other parts of the Middle East had a war, becoming a bit stable in the last couple of trading sessions. 0.17 in the red, while Qatar is almost 1%, or 0.78% in the red at 10,652.02. We'll go to the United States, where futures were mixed in early trade. Yesterday, they were really quiet. There's a bit of movement now. We see it mixed. The Dow Jones in the red slightly at 43,337 points. And then for S&P, it's in the green, 0.17. NASDAQ, the tech guy, 0.47 in the green. Aluminium producer Alcoa jumped nearly 6% in extended trading after posting adjusted earnings that topped expectation. Also, transport stock CSX was down 4%. Disappointing results, and that's what we have. And during regular trading on Wednesday, the blue chip Dow Jones advanced for yesterday. So now let's go to Asia and see close of trade in Asia. We see markets fell after China's housing ministry briefing failed to impress investors and sent the country's property stocks plummeting again. You know, the property industry in China is really strong, and then that stimulus plan that they started talking about seems not to be meeting up expectations. So we see a drop right there for the Nikkei of China, 0.69%, Kospi of Korea, 0.41%, Hang Seng, almost 1% in the red, 20,087.64. We see the other parts of that market for Asia, Shanghai, 1.05 in the red, and for India follows suit, 0.72% in the red for India. Exports of Japan fell 1.7% in September compared to the same period last year. That was not expected because economists had expected a 0.5% growth, and exports, which contracted for the first time this year, were down sharply from what was expected. Now let's move from Asia to Europe and see what's happening in Berlin as Lars comes to tell us now something about the economy in Germany. Germany's economy not looking so good. Shortage of skilled labor is a major one for that country. We know they started a program some time ago to try to attract immigrants. But let's have Lars now tell us details of the plans to meet up with this shortage. Hi, Lars. Good afternoon.
Thanks for having me, Ini. Well, it's yet another push to fill all these unfilled positions that have become a major problem for the German economy. Especially small and medium-sized companies have found it hard in recent years to find trainees or apprentices, or generally to hire the people they need to keep business going. Now, the government has that program they call Indian Skilled Worker Strategy, and they're announcing it just 1 week before Chancellor Olaf Scholz's visit to India. He's traveling there with a strong delegation that includes the economy minister and the labor minister. And those latter two are planning a multi-pronged approach towards young people in India. They want to visit schools to talk to students about life in Germany as an opportunity. They're trying to get the word out nationwide. And they're also planning some one-on-one meetings, including visiting a bakery in Delhi that is already using German recipes. They want to talk about corporations that would train people there and later send them off to Germany to find employment.
Yeah, but how easy or difficult would it be to get Indians to participate in this?
Well, that's a fair question, because usually everything that involves German authorities is actually quite complicated and time-consuming. But that is exactly what this new program is attempting to change. First of all, there will be German language classes available in India, also job fairs where job seekers can meet with representatives from companies that are hiring. And then once there is mutual interest, the government is saying that the visa application process will be fully digital and online, and that visa will be granted quickly for qualified applicants. And here's something that really makes the government hopeful for this strategy to work for Germany and for those seeking to come and work here. There are already approximately 137,000 Indians working in Germany. Among those, only 3.7% are currently without a job. So the unemployment rate for them is less than half of the rate for Germans in general. And some more numbers: 16% of Indians here in Germany are working as specialists, and a full 37% as approved experts in their jobs, most of them, by the way, in IT and communications.
Yeah, IT in vogue now. What about the investors? What are they doing?
Well, it's that time again. The European Central Bank is talking interest rate policy, and most people are expecting to see another rate cut today by a 0.25 percentage point. That would bring the Eurozone's main rate to 3.25. There's been a few signs for that to happen, not least the fact that inflation fell to 1.8% last month, and thus underneath the ECB's 2% target. So we're likely getting that rate cut. And then the big question, will it fire up markets again? They were a bit weaker yesterday after a few days of record chasing, so we'll just have to wait and see.
All right, Lars, thank you so much for that. Well, Lars was talking about labor, right? The United Nations Global Compact 2023 report shows that approximately 2.78 million workers worldwide lose their lives due to occupational accidents and work-related diseases. In response to this, South Africa's Department of Employment and Labor, they've launched the Occupational Health and Safety Prevention Accord and OHS strategy in Johannesburg. Channel's Africa business reporter Innocent Samosa sent in this report to capture all sides of that story.
The event-themed collaboration and strategic approach to prevent and reduce incidents and occupational diseases in workplace brought together key stakeholders from government, labor and business to address critical issues in occupational health and safety. Millie Reithers is the Chief Inspector responsible for occupational health and safety nationally.
The burden of disease as well as injuries and diseases is too high for us to be spending so much money related to injuries and diseases, but also over and above that, there are workers' lives, workers' health and safety that are impacted when we do not prevent injuries and diseases.
Some labor unions says that while there's progress made, much more still needs to be done.
First of all, employing more inspectors. I think the current number of inspectors is inadequate to reach out to all the workplaces where there is safety issues, and also I think the law enforcement agencies are not serious when it comes to enforcing these practices, and enforcing the health and safety laws.
Meanwhile, the General Secretary of the South African Federation of Trade Union, Zweli Nzimavavi, underscores some improvements made since the dawn of democracy.
Massive improvement if you compare it, the statistics to the period before 1993, 1994. The pieces of legislation have really played a tremendous role, but way still to go.
Acting Director of Social Policy at Business Unity South Africa, Sanelisiwe Yankees, says this collaboration between government, labor and business is a step in the right direction.
It's incredible. It is sticking with the tenets of how we do business, and we're talking about tripartism, social dialogue, collaboration, and without it, I'm quite sure we wouldn't have been here today with respect to the signing of this accord and the strategy, but also making grand plans as to how we as social partners, alongside with the state, intend on implementing it.
Now, some of the challenges that attendees anticipate in implementing this in different sectors is legislation and passing laws, but some believe that this is a step in the right direction in order to deal with the injuries and diseases in the workplace. From Pretoria, South Africa, Innocent Samos, Channels Television News.
That's Innocent Semosa there. Now, the National Bank of Ethiopia has introduced a new policy limiting foreign exchange trading spreads to 2%, effective Wednesday, October 16, 2024. This move marks a significant step in Ethiopia's ongoing economic reforms, aiming to stabilize the currency market and increase transparency in forex transactions. Ethiopia shifted to a market-based exchange rate system in July this year, replacing the previous tightly controlled regime. This change is part of broader economic reforms addressing long-standing financial imbalances in the country. Before the reforms, commercial banks traded the Ethiopian birr at around 57 to $1 with a spread of less than 1 birr. By October 12, the average selling rate had climbed to 125 birr per dollar. The spread exceeded 10 birr. Following the central bank's announcement, the Commercial Bank of Ethiopia adjusted its rate, now buying dollars at 113 birr and selling at 115. The new policy also requires banks to disclose all fees and commissions separately, enhancing transparency in foreign exchange transactions while capping the trading spread, and the central bank still allows some flexibility. We're still in Ethiopia, where they've received the lowest internet freedom score among 17 African countries assessed in Freedom House's Freedom on the Net 2024 report. They scored 27 out of 100 and earning not a free rating. The report highlights significant challenges faced by internet users in the country, including government-imposed disruptions in connectivity and restrictions on online journalists. And these measures, according to authorities, are often justified by the country's ongoing armed conflict and unstable security situation. Let's leave Ethiopia now and talk about a commodity that I believe is useful to every one of us. That's vegetable oil. Well, amidst increase in prices, we can expect that vegetable oil has also seen its own share of increase. There's been a 100% increase year on year, with 5 liters now selling at 15,000 naira, far exceeding the current food rate of 37.77%. And we know they come in different forms: sunflower, corn, canola, palm, and soybeans. What do we anticipate as the future trend of this? Let's speak to Teva Kumeka. He is a research manager with Financial Derivatives Company and joins us this afternoon. Hi, Teva. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
Great. Do we see anything that could perhaps change this upward trend of vegetable oil prices?
Yeah, what we are experiencing currently is not peculiar to Nigeria. The October results or report released by the Food and Food Agriculture and Organization of United Nations shows that the vegetable price index have increased from August to September by 4.6%. This tells us that it is a global trend. So the factors affecting the price of vegetable oil at the moment are global and domestic. So like you mentioned, the sources of vegetable oil, which include sunflower seed, soybean, corn, and others. Since the beginning of war in Russia between Russia and Ukraine, which are the top largest suppliers of sunflower seed, we've seen that the input for producing vegetable oil has dropped drastically. So since that input has dropped, then the supply for vegetable oil has also dropped. So the price definitely will tend to go up. In terms of soybean, we've seen that recently there's issues around climate change. So soybean is used both for industrial power generation in terms of biodiesel and then for domestic consumption. So that demand for biodiesel is also pulling down what is available for vegetable oil production. So these factors have pushed the price of vegetable oil for domestic consumption to the level we are witnessing right now. Then for the at the domestic front, we have limited production, so we're not producing as much as we consume. So these factors is increasing the price of vegetable oil as we're seeing at the moment. Then lastly, which is what we are observing, we are in the Ember month now, so we are already in the festive season. So demand has increased for this commodity, and you know that Nigerians and Africans are all over the world. People use vegetable oil for their cooking. So we observe that wholesalers and retailers are stocking up their warehouses in preparation for the festive Christmas season that's going to come in December. So this high demand, coupled with global supply disruption and the limited quantity of vegetable oil that we produce in the country, is what we are seeing as a push to the current high prices of vegetable oil in the country right now.
Yeah, well, as with many other things, Nigeria has the potential to be one of the biggest producers of vegetable oil. Does it look like we're about to go above? I think now we're doing about 10%. Does it look like we can go above that 10% production anytime soon?
Yeah, one of the key sources of vegetable oil is groundnut oil, which is produced largely in the north in Nigeria. So in terms of groundnut oil, we are the third largest producer of that commodity. Then we have soybean, which we export about 212,000 metric tons annually. But the problem domestic producers are having are mired. If you see that we still engage in this local way of outdated method of farming and processing techniques, then we are faced with challenges of infrastructure inadequacy. We have issues around low access to finance, which smaller businesses don't have access to the required finance to upgrade. Then we are also faced with issue of competition, because major producers of vegetable oil have this economic of large scale, so they produce a lower quantity. So until we address some of these challenges in terms of infrastructure, transportation, power generation, storage, and other logistics, then we provide small businesses are able to afford or to acquire the required capital, which will enable them to upscale. Then we improve our domestic production, then reduce competition from outside the country. Then we're able to upscale and produce as much as we want to produce and meet up with our consumption. Currently, record available to us shows that Nigeria consumes about 1.6 metric ton of vegetable oil, but what we produce is around 1.3. So there's a gap of 300 metric ton of vegetable oil that needs to be filled. And to do this, we need to open the market, then encourage domestic producers, make the business environment conducive for new entrants, then expand the market. As we produce more of what we consume, we depend less on importation, which exchange rate also affects, then we will have more of this commodity, which will bring down the price. So as long as supply is more than the demand, then price tends to come down.
Yeah, well, we look forward to when those things can be achieved. Thank you so much, Eva Kumeka, for your time. Economic Research Manager with Financial Derivatives Company.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, move on now to Zimbabwe, where that country says that it will compensate local and foreign white farmers who lost land and property more than 20 years ago in farm seizures meant to redress some of the wrongs of colonialism. About 4,000 white farmers lost their homes and swaths of land when the black majority country's then president, Robert Mugabe, launched the often chaotic redistribution program in the year 2000, which turned violent at times. Mugabe, who had died in 2019, said it was aimed at addressing colonial-era land inequality after the Southern African nation gained independence from white majority rule in 1980. Now, Finance Minister Mithuli Ngubi has announced a meeting with diplomats that his government, still talking about the farmers, have approved 441 applications for compensation worth $351.6 million from local white farmers and 94 applications from foreign white farmers, $196.6 million, but only 1% or $3.5 million will be paid in cash to local farmers who lost their land. The balance will be paid through issuance of treasury bonds. Foreigners will receive an initial $20 million to be shared equally among the 94 claimants from Denmark, Germany, Netherlands, Switzerland, and several countries in Eastern Europe. White farmers who owned the majority of prime farmland were removed from their farms, often forcefully by violent mobs led by veterans of the country's 1960s independence. And still staying right there, we see that still in Zimbabwe, the government there has plans to make most of the taxes and fees payable strictly in Zimbabwean gold. That's ZiG gold, their new currency, and it's to stir demand and drive up its value. The plans to shore up demand for ZiG are being made as the Finance, Economic Development and Investment Promotion Ministry prepares the 2025 national budget to be presented next month. However, most Zimbabweans believe that confidence in the ZiG currency would increase if essential items like fuel and services such as passport fees were payable in the local currency. According to Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, the Governor John Mushanyahu, the ZiG is supported by $450 million in foreign reserves as of October 10, 2024. Well, I think our technical guys have been so excited about the crypto space, so I saw that come out before now. But now it's time for crypto. Unfortunately, we see it's more of the red that we have for Bitcoin this afternoon. But the number is still looking good at 67,217.60. Lost more than 0.5% in the last hour, but it's still looking okay there at 67,000. Ethereum is on the flip side when it comes to the color, gained 0.02%. Could this be a direction to where Bitcoin will be in a bit? Remember, we're targeting 70,000 for Bitcoin in the coming days. This bull run, let's say, will end at 70,000. But Ethereum is $2,613.68. BNB, others are mostly in the red. Cardano, mostly in the red, even Doge. But a more interesting one is keeping our eyes on the Trump-backed crypto token. It's about 24 hours since it's been launched, and in that period, we see some disappointment that's being connected to it. Well, it's called World Liberty Finance. That's what it's been called, and it bills itself as a crypto bank where customers will be encouraged to borrow, to lend, and invest in digital coins. It began as a token sale on Tuesday, and so far the news says that it's lost a couple of percentage, But let's talk more about this with Sheon Dania joins us now for this. Hi, Sheon. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Great. So tell us what's been happening to the World Liberty Finance about 24 hours after it's been launched.
I think, of course, definitely they had a major surge on the website, because definitely it was promoted by the U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump, and it was reported to have over 700 million unique, visitors that went to the site at the point of, launch. They'd already done kind of like a whitelist. I know they had, several hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Then the website crashed, and it probably took them some time to get back up. So that was one of the things that affected the launch. And then also, I think there's been some kind of like miscommunication, in terms of what exactly is the coin going to do. And they mentioned it's going to be decentralized finance, but I believe that at this point in time, people are focusing on the main cryptocurrencies, and that's why they probably have seen they're not able to trust their money if the website has gone down. Kind of like just sets people off. Say, well, don't want to do this. Let them get their stuff together for now.
Do you see a recovery if Donald Trump wins as president of the U.S.?
For that particular project, definitely there will be a recovery. However, there's still some indications that it may, Donald Trump is a businessman, is a promoter. It might not exactly be right behind it, but he's just going to promote it and cut himself a deal on what's going. So if he wins, if the potentials of I believe it to be his policies, the policies that he puts in place during his administration that will determine, the success of any project altogether.
And then also in Italy, we see a proposal that capital gains tax for Bitcoin is going to go from 26% to 42%. And they said a lot of cryptocurrency investors did not see this coming, and some of them are threatening to move out to a more friendly environment for crypto. Back here in Nigeria, also, we know that our FRSC chairman has said we're expecting new reforms, and now cryptocurrency is going to be taxed. The gains will be taxed. Do you see this as a deterring factor from operations in Nigeria?
So on the Nigerian side, the FIRS chairman, what he is advocating for is a law that actually allows them to be able to tax crypto. So right now, we do not have any laws that even identifies crypto or mandates any agency to tax crypto. So it will be difficult for them, or somewhat not constitutional, not necessarily illegal, but they would not have any law backing or giving them any mandate to actually tax crypto gains and whatnot. So that is what he's advocating for. And, that law is something that, operators within the space had also advocated for the first time in 2021 when the CBN governor then, actually stopped financial institutions from providing services to crypto companies. They were trying to, educate the legislative and the executive arms to understand why there needs to be a law. But it's good that we are saying that this is now being championed by the FIRS, putting it into perspective. I know they're also part of what the thing they're proposing is to also change their name beyond Federal Internal Revenue Service. They don't want to be called, the Nigeria Revenue Service, based on the fact that they are collecting revenue, but not just, the federal government, and also the state and local governments. But for Nigeria, it is definitely a good thing. On the Italy side, evidently governments are always still getting it wrong, because they feel that if people are making gains on certain asset classes, that they should always just tax those excess gains. And the truth is, how do you determine what the gains are? Let's understand that these digital currencies were established, especially Bitcoin, for instance, it was established to be not anti-government, but it's supposed to let people stay off the government radar some way, somehow. So if people are then subjecting themselves to government policies and whatnot, and the government just feels, okay, well, this is all we need to do is just keep taxing the gains. It's definitely deter people from wanting to do business in that country. It just kind of like sends a signal that this country is not ready for this cryptocurrency trading, and they are basically just trying to put draconian laws that will make people abstain from it altogether.
All right, Sean, thank you so much for that. Well, we know this is an ongoing conversation. Everybody, even if it's a decentralized market, still need regulation and structure.
Oh, we need regulation.
Exactly.
Definitely.
So we need to find a balance to all of them. Well, thank you so much for sharing your views with us this afternoon.
Thank you very much for having me. Have a great day.
You too. All right, so that's all for Business Incorporated today, but it's just Thursday. That means we still have Friday, yes, to do business together, beginning from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then, of course, the stock market at News at 10. But you can repeat this experience anytime you want. If you go to our YouTube channel, that's youtube.com/channels web. You can watch Business Morning, you can watch Business Incorporated. Remember, it is important that you stay informed on economic and business issues. That's what we do here. I'll see you 10 p.m. stock market report. If you miss that, 10 a.m. tomorrow. I'm Minnie John.